What's up guys, my name is Austin Black and I want to talk to you a little bit about the fonts that I use when I make all of my wedding films, YouTube videos, all that. These are my top 10 favorite fonts for video filmmaking production. Here we go. So to start the video, I want to be clear that this is a very basic list of fonts. You can go so deep into typography, and I've taken that deep dive, I've dipped my toe in a little bit, and I have a decent idea of what fonts are out there, but there are some people who have so much knowledge and so much information. But I'm going to show you 10 fonts that I find are wildly usable for video in a variety of circumstances, which I think is important to compile a list of, because not every font that looks good in print also looks good in video. If you want to do a little bit more research, I have a couple resources that I'd highly recommend. One is a website called Fonts in Use. I love just browsing through this website and just scrolling through because it just shows you all of these popular fonts that are actually in use. For example, I'm going to talk about a font that was used in SNL and Conan. Awesome website. I've also learned a lot from the website Typewolf. They have a typography course and they provide a lot of free alternatives to paid fonts. So some of these fonts do cost money. Some of them you can find for free, but Typewolf is another good resource. I haven't done their course, so I can't vouch for it, but it's a fun website to scroll through and again, just look at some examples of typography. So the first one on my list is one that I use a lot for titles on my wedding films, and it is Gotham. This is a very widely used font. It's a really bold cinematic font. It's very wide, and I think that it looks good when you do all caps long kerning, kind of like this. And this is a really widely used font for advertising, television, a lot of stuff. It is the Conan logo. It has been on the SNL logo. It is the Obama '08 poster. Heck, it's even the font on the Manchester City soccer team logo. So next on the list we have Veneer. You probably have already used Veneer. It's like the most basic font that is kind of trendy to use right now. It comes in a lot of type kits. I know it's default in Premiere and After Effects and Adobe stuff. It's just, you know, a jack of all trades font. You can use it for pretty much anything. I think you can really get away with using this font a lot. The next one I've got is Bevis. This, to me, this font really feels like a documentary font for me. I think that it's because it's this long, very compressed font, and it looks really good when you have to fit information into like a lower third or something. If someone has like a really long name or something, it doesn't take up like the whole screen because you've got that nice, just compressed, long text. So this one's a really useful one, especially if you're gonna do a lot of documentary work. I used it in the Dallas to Denver vlog for the title because I wanted something that would kind of fit in that space really well. If I'd used a different font, I feel like it would have taken up kind of the whole width that I had available. The next one we've got is kind of more of a specialty font for me. It is called Casper Graphic. This is a very 70s magazine looking font to me. I think it's a really bold choice if you want to use it for a video, but I think that it's really readable, and if used in the right context, it looks really nice. It's actually really similar to the font that we use for our business Ocular Pop. That one is ITC Grouch. So I really like this font. It's just, I don't use it a lot. I honestly don't use it a lot, even though I like it. So next we've got Yaron, and this to me is kind of just like a more quirky alternative to Bevis. It's another long compressed text, but it's got this more handwritten look and a little bit grittier. What it reminds me of is the film Dr. Strangelove. I think this font is a pretty good choice. I rarely use it, but I think it belongs on this list because I think it's useful and it works well for different types of videos. Okay, so next we've got the font called Sharpen. This is my favorite script font. There's something about it to me that just looks super cinematic. I think that it's hard to find a good script font that will work for video. A lot of the time it's too thin, and when you're dealing with a lot of compression, it's not gonna even be readable in the end product. I think Sharpen is a good option. It can stand alone for titles. I've used it for titles for wedding films, and I think it looks really great and really cinematic. So Sharpen, I think, is great. Next, we've got Dido, and this is a kind of Wes Anderson font. I think he's used it in one of his films, but I really like it because it's my go-to serif font. I go more sans serif and simple most of the time, but sometimes I really like using a font like this one, and it's another one that I think looks really good with the long kerning. So sometimes for wedding films, if I'm doing kind of like, you know, people like to do the itty bitty title sometimes with the long kerning, all caps. So I think Dido is super cinematic for those types of uses, and I think it's really good to have a lot of different types of fonts in your repertoire. So I didn't want to leave out a serif font if that may be someone's flavor. So there you go. Next, I have got Archer, and yes, this is another Wes Anderson font, but I really like this font. I kind of describe it as Neo typewriter almost. I think this is really good for quirkier titles. I used it a lot for YouTube videos and YouTube thumbnails. I think Archer is a super nice font. It goes all the way to the itty bitty razor thin to a bolder option. I think you're usually stuck around the bolder spectrum for video, otherwise it's going to be really hard to read. But I think this one's another, you know, just quirky one. If you could find the right opportunity to use it, great. I love it. And finally, we've got the last specialty font, and it is the VCR font. So, you know, sometimes people like to throw in that little flair of making your footage look like Super 8 film or something like that. I do it for my end screen. So if you're looking to kind of enhance that effect, like, you know, maybe you can put a date in the bottom, you can put some kind of title information like record all the time, all that stuff. And really, you know, use like overlays in this font to make it look super vintage. So kind of a silly font, but I've used it a few times. So anyways, that's it. My name is Austin Black. Now I want you to comment below some of the fonts that you like to use specifically for filmmaking and video production. It really can be hard to find fonts that you like. So I want to hear what you guys use, because this is just what I use. It's pretty basic. I'm sure you guys have a lot of creative options as well. My name is Austin Black. I'll see you in the next one.